This conference will now be recorded.
All right,
Go grab your seat and hold it.
we will commence with public hearing regarding House Bill 355 grant application. Eric will present. Don't forget to turn your mic on.
I guess I don't really know where to go. I mean, like we've had this talk. Is there anything anybody would like to know about this House Bill 355? Right off the bat, let's start there.
It's strictly just going towards water meters.
That's my idea. Again, I'm gonna say it again. You can use House Bill 355 for any public infrastructure, and that also includes, I mean, basically just pretty much anything for the public works. But
And the reason that we went this way was overall for the projects in our PER, we have our plan for our well and storage, basically. And then after that, on our priorities, we're looking at distribution itself, or part of storage is the fire hydrants. We have the 3 already purchased for this year's rotation. We're trying to just rotate out on a plan. So those 3 had already been purchased and are here for, and that's it for the distribution system for the year.
3 actual meters.
No, 3
Fire hydrants.
Fire hydrants. So the next thing on the PER is to phase out all the old meters, and so that we know we're going to get more accurate readings. Some of them stick, and then you're not getting paid for what's being used.
So when meters go old, they literally they give water away, and that's just all of them do that. Getting a good accurate number, that's going to be, I feel like it's really important right now with this whole 45% loss. I doubt that's the number, and I think maybe this has got something to do with that, if that makes sense, because they're putting out more water than what we're figuring. And, I know
what we're actually billing.
It's going to help us on time. It's going to be a good rate saver.
That was the other part, is these are all the radio read. So if we phase those out, you can have one person do all of town in a day, rather than 2 guys taking 2 days every month to go read meters. And eventually you could get it to the point where you could hook up a tower and literally nobody has to even drive around to do it. You can just flip the switch and get the reads and
And
have them straight in.
these meters with the right software, you can actually get a tampering notice on your computer if somebody's been messing with it. You'll actually get a notice from this and that. But my priority list for just this money, because it was only 83 something, I just didn't, it just seemed like a good place and a good start for these meters. And I talked to the guy yesterday, roughly a 6-month wait for the meters, and this would add 300 new meters in town. That's about what we could get with this.
And that puts us
That'll,
not even 50.
honestly, we'll have a downtown book and that's it.
So like 50% of the meters will be new.
No, we'll probably be, we're at about 25% now. That'll put us around 600. It'll be about 150 left. And so roughly, yeah. I 75, 80%, yeah. And without it being a huge chunk of money, I think it's just time. This needs done. It's been, I don't know how long, but they're inherently just getting worse and worse and worse. Our list is getting longer and longer and longer.
Will they have to have wiring ran to them?
No, they're not wired. You just hook them up and that's it.
And they like generate their own power?
Yep.
Or-
And I actually did a repair on one of them, which is really reasonable. I think for the repair parts was $10. It took me 5 minutes. It's really nice.
What's that compared to repairing one of the old ones?
They're really hard. They got all the little parts. And just to hold them and get them in there at the right spots, kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Bearings, and then even at this point, getting the parts, you know. And on top of this, I do have a lady's phone number who will buy all the old meters.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know what they're worth, but I don't like, you know,
Is she buying them just for parts or?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Is it for maybe the metal? Well, they have brass.
They are brass. They're made of brass.
That was like ours.
Good point.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you're not going to get but $1 or $2 for them. It's not going to be a,
Right.
you know, but
Still, it puts it back in your pocket.
it's something, you know, to help with that. Basically, it's 300 meters for $20,000. We bought 100 meters last year or a few months back for 30. And this is something you got to know also, this is a reimbursement grant. So I just think it's pretty important to say that.
Mhm.
So if they're 6 months out, do they bill once they arrive
Once
or once ordered?
they're willing to work with that. We're actually going to get straight from the supplier
Okay.
just for a quicker turnaround.
Well, I was just trying to figure out if it was reimbursement, how that was going to go. If it was 6 months out, then it would put it in the next cycle.
And that's probably, they won't be billed until they're delivered.
Okay.
Right. For sure. And
So
we
we-
can even hold that delivery date off until we know the money's coming, you know, if they say, yeah, this is good and this is when it's coming, then that's when we'll try and get them going.
So I understand, page 5 of this grant talks about misappropriation or diversion of funds. It says that the applicant will repay Commerce misappropriated or diverted funds, so, within 12 months. So, that's if we divert any portion of the state grant or local government match to another use.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I thought I heard you say earlier that it's metered, but also other stuff. It's just for.
Just meters, just 300 meters. I have, you know,
They were talking about fire hydrants, but that's already been
Oh, yeah,
budgeted
that
for
was-
separately.
Those are already purchased in here.
yeah, they're in, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Have you started the grant process or the application? at
The
all?
application's done.
Oh, okay, so you're just waiting on us to decide to.
You should have a copy. I don't know, maybe.
We set up anyway, set up the agenda and I sent the application to everyone. So Craig, you evidently got it. If you're reading page 5,
Oh, great.
yes, that is the application.
John was a big help in helping me get that done. I know nothing about filling that stuff out, and you know,
Who helped?
John, big help, awesome help for it. It was a little more. I have short answers. He has, you know,
He's a
More
purchase
professional
guy.
sounding answers.
yeah.
And the meters that we do replace for the homeowners, that won't be an expense to them, will it? Okay.
No, that.
Well, that's what I was wondering, because I was like, I know when the people
That we
hooked
could.
up, they had to pay for their meters.
Or a very reduced cost to cover the.
That was my next question, so that,
No, that's, yeah. I'll be doing that. Yeah, I'll be doing all this.
I'll support him. In that endeavor as well.
I have, if they say, yeah, this is a good match, you know, the only other thing that would have been on my list for this money would have been generators. It's really not enough money for 2 of them like we need.
makes sense.
That was my number 2 on the priority list. You know,
I know we've been talking about meters for a very long time, trying to get them
it's
replaced.
time. It's time to get after it. You know, it is. It's just time.
Yeah, it's been a decade.
A decade?
Yes, I remember when Kelly wanted to do it when I got on, so. Because the new meters, they basically, it's just so much easier. They can literally drive around and it picks it up. It literally sends it to you.
Well, and with a pretty reasonable software upgrade to what we have here in town, it literally just be me handing a card and the clerk plugging it in and it running numbers. That's going to be it. I don't know how much time the clerks will spend on water meters, but it seems like that's all they're ever doing. I mean,
It's 2 or 3 days probably.
For
by the time you get-
build and all, sending bills out, all of that.
Yeah, sending the bill and sending the guys back out to recheck if they see something that's, doesn't look right or.
So it's roughly a week, you know.
A
A
month.
week a month is what you're spending.
Mhm.
We're, you know, yeah, there's 2 days for these, just those two walking around, I mean, we can shorten it when my foot gets better, but right now it's 2 full days. If nobody calls for a water turn off or whatever else, you got to walk all the way across town to get to your truck to go do it, you know? And that happens enough to where I just quit doing meters for the day. You know, there are times.
So these electric meters you can read remotely.
Yep.
Can you also shut them off? and turn them on?
No. That would be nice, right? I mean,
It would be, they're, right now, Craig, they're cut off, they're, if you have, do a shut off, it's at a curb stop, which is out by the street.
that's gonna be something too here pretty soon. Curb stops, they're getting old.
And how much are those a piece? The customer has to pay for those. Yeah.
Curb stops? I think almost maybe 3
I
to
had to
dig
pay
one
for
up
mine.
and
The way
replace
our
it.
book, the way our town code reads, it is the property owners from the curb stop on. So technically they're responsible for meters.
From the
everything.
main all the way in to their house is up to the customers in Ennis, is how
Is how the town
the town is set up.
code reads.
The main,
From the water main
the water main, where, at the curb,
in the street,
in the street.
our water main, the town's water main. Yes.
So should we put that on the agenda for charging for upgraded water meters?
We should do a resolution, I feel, if we go through this, a resolution on how you guys would like to have that administered. Would be most appropriate.
Being it's this kind of I mean, we definitely need clarification if you can actually charge for meters, if you get them with a grant, you know?
How much is each meter?
Currently, right now, they're a little over 350.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. So that's
This
the
would
interest,
put-
that's the hard part where we purchase part of them. Part of them may be on a grant. So some people get them for free and some people will pay $353.
Yeah, it's gonna blow.
That's my
Like,
own.
that's gonna make people very upset, especially when we're increasing their water rates.
Does it mean we?
But I mean,
couldn't-
you don't. Okay, is it fair to charge everybody regardless and everybody one set amount? Still, what does that look like? I guess not
that would be $70 a meter.
$70 a meter.
A little less, yeah, is what that would turn out to be.
If you
That's
use
the
just the
way
grant match
town-
portion. Which seems more appropriate.
But I mean,
Is it fair though for every, like, an increase for every, I don't know. Cause we're still gonna have to buy more anyway. So it's not,
Yeah, we're not fixing them all.
yeah.
So the people who go through on the grant pay 70, but the people downtown who are last on the list have to pay 300 later.
Is it, do you have it in the budget to buy enough to do everybody now?
No.
they're crazy expensive right now.
I guess the other thing to consider is that we can look for other grants that are similar to this for the next portion and try and keep it so
Oh.
that
This is just the start. Oh, yeah. If I get this done, I mean, if this actually gets done, if, you know, this is all right with you guys, If it actually gets done, let's just start. I'll find a way to get the rest in this town.
There's 600 and how many?
70 something, 678
That's total.
total.
And we already have 25% of that.
Yeah.
Roughly 25% of that covered.
I know the way the town code is set up, it just kind of makes the whole meter thing interesting. Kind of a pain in the butt, you know?
So let me make sure I'm getting this right in my head. We have to approve tonight, we have to have a vote to approve this grant going forward, and then we have to do a resolution to, in the future, once we get the grant, to increase any price for reimbursement from our homeowners to pay for these meters, correct? So there's two steps to this.
First step is to figure out on the grant. I don't even know if you can. We'll double check before that so that it might be on the grant that these ones go in, and it's the priority list of those that do not work, the oldest. There's some, how many are we at? 30 something that don't work.
There's
to
over
replace
40 something that are constantly needing attention.
But I wouldn't be surprised if there's other grants later that wouldn't be in the same
Same kind of system.
kind of system.
Fingers crossed, you know?
Or tie it in with a bigger grant.
Mhm.
Part of that grant.
That's true. To keep the cost down, but get us to the point where we're billing for what's used and can actually calculate what's being used versus what's being pumped. I mean, those are, other than doing a drawdown test, that's our most accurate way of calculating loss, and we should be no more than 15% loss. That's typical. Or,
I honestly don't even calculate loss because there's no time. I don't even bother doing it until I have to. You know, if we had the meters, I would know every month.
our closest indicator now is pump run time.
That's my first indication now. If anything's going on in town, it's how long the pumps are running. Run 6 hours today, you know, oh, it's up to 8, what's going on? You know.
So Ginger, you just said, so if there's 670 meters and you said we replaced approximately 25% of those, the 167 of them are new already. We're getting 300. Right?
Yep.
So we're getting now. We need
470.
Yeah, we're
Remaining.
around 250, 225's right now. Somewhere in those numbers.
Of new meters?
Yeah.
No, it's greater than 25% then.
Yeah.
It's probably closer.
I still think it's the smartest long-term plan where you save that much in time, a week, a month in tasks to other things. And then not losing the one thing that generates its own revenue to sustain itself.
I agree, but I think before we can vote on it, we have to know how it's gonna be paid back. How many other people are gonna pay, how much they're gonna have to pay, like, I just think that's important. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe we can discuss that at a later date, but
I think we should approve my theory is approve the grant and then have a resolution on how it's enacted. But it's got to make sure first with the application that we're within its stipulations.
And remind me again, we apply for this grant, when do we know if we get it? And when does,
The deadline to apply is the 24th,
mhm,
right? March.
and
30.
I was told roughly late fall.
late fall, we know if we were approved.
I think that'll be a lot sooner, but I was told late fall, the fundings. Well, I wasn't told, I watched a video, sometime late fall probably is when reimbursement would happen.
So the step 2 of this isn't important until we know if
Even
we
get
get step 1.
Mhm.
Right, and that puts us into September, which is the next fiscal year.
Well, if you get your application in now, I mean.
And these were pre-designated numbers too.
They-
This is not,
They actually are. I mean, this, I'll just pass this around. We're highlighting the town of Ennis. Like, they're appropriated this amount of money for each town for public works, public grounds projects. Grounds being anything really, buildings, parks. You can't build a new building. You can repair one. You know, I mean, I get it, the hesitation, I understand. The whole payment thing to me has always been kind of weird. I don't know. It's just kind of weird.
So according to this, our match is 21,000. Looking at the breakdown, right?
21.
Like it's 2834. This is for the local match.
If I'm reading.
Right.
Can I slip
Doesn't seem-
something? I'm reading
Doesn't
this
seem like a whole lot to me.
on the award process. They're gonna put together priority lists and determine compliance with the House bill. And it says Congress shall issue slip of notice to the applicant within 45 days of the application receipt, if practical. So it doesn't give us a very solid timeframe.
I honestly, like, this is my first time with a grant.
And what day did you turn it in?
I haven't turned it in.
Oh, okay.
This is part of the requirements for turning your application. This has to be a part of the application.
Yeah, you're gonna have a public hearing. There's no public. So the new meters that are in right now, the 200 or so, 170, 200, whatever the number is, how are those paid for? Where the money come from?
With
The
water funds.
water funds.
And those are,
I might have to look back, though. It might have been water and sewer, Craig, because sewer charges are also based on water usage.
But those collectively, those funds for like the whole town went to, a portion of that went, or was it water and sewer from this guy paid for this guy's meter? And water and sewer funds from collected from this person paid for this person's meter.
no,
Didn't happen that way. It happened that we have this, this money, and then, okay, so now we can purchase 170 or 200 and change out 200 or so meters, right? Okay. So,
So if they didn't have to pay for theirs, then these people.
well, the town paid for theirs, right? The
Right.
whole town.
Right.
They paid a portion of
But
it, right?
they purchased those meters. The new ones that are already out and installed,
The customers
People have-
purchased it?
yes, they have been purchased.
So are they mostly on like new construction that's happened?
All new construction, and then if we have one that the guys identify that is totally not working, that they've had time to get to or whatnot, then yeah, they would get one of the new.
So like if my meter just broke tomorrow and wasn't reading and we'd have to replace it, then I'd have to buy a new one from the town, correct?
that's what,
Yeah,
That's,
that's fine. I just,
that's how the code reads.
yeah.
I know, should have waited
yeah, the property owner owns
the meter.
Okay. So do we need a motion?
Work session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
Is there, well, I have to call for 3 calls of public comment. So first call for public comment regarding House Bill 355 grant application, the town applying for replacement meter funds. Second call for public comment on House Bill 355. Last call for public comment on House Bill 355. All right, closing public comment.
Can I make another comment, or do we need to
I would
make a motion
No.
first?
There's no motion on the table, so
If the property owner owns the meter, then why would I want to spend $300 something to change a meter that I already have? What's my incentive to change my meter? What's your incentive, John, to shell out $300 to change your meter? If you, if you
and
own it?
potentially be charged more for water.
because then we estimate.
Yeah, and
But, and it's in the code that you'll have a working meter.
No, but if my meter's working already, it's an old one. Granted, it needs
Oh, okay.
some repair from time to time or whatever, but it's an old one and it's paid for. Why would I want to run out and spend, how much money to go replace it?
Mhm.
Now, if the property owner didn't own it and it was part of the town's water system, and the town said, we're replacing this, and we need to replace it because they're going old and it costs us time and money to, look after it and repair it and so on. So by replacing it, it's going to save money in the future, time and money in the future, and you're all collectively, everyone's water rate and sewer rate's going to go up to help cover the cost of that. That's a different story than if I have a working meter. Okay, it breaks down every so often, but I don't want to spend another $300.
and
Then I
that's a
have
good point.
You know what I mean? If I own it.
And if I own it, I technically, if not me, whoever owned that property when the meter got put in, purchased that meter,
Mhm.
and I purchased it with the property.
Correct.
But for a short, limited time, Eric is offering meters at $70, new ones. All the bells and whistles. Nobody will ever have to come in your home again.
See, that's why it makes sense to me, just buy enough at once and I don't know. Kind of make everybody pay evenly.
I honestly, if, if the tank would have been happening, this 100% would have been one of the top things on my order list to get.
I know. I know it needs to be done. It's just hard to explain to people.
I understand.
Yeah.
I get the whole complexity of it, and it actually is very hard on me too. It makes, I get it. It does make sense. I don't.
Yeah, that is going to be a hard sell. I mean, is there, I don't know, maybe people jump on it. Is there anything to say that you have to? I mean, we want to install this because it's going to tell us how much water we're trying to get to the bottom of how much our 15% target water loss. So this is part of the due diligence that needs to be done to figure that out.
I mean, I do think that maybe that, not maybe, I do think that needs to be looked at.
Do grants like for this ever come around that don't require matching? Very rarely.
It would be a rare.
Everything I've ever read, there's always some kind of match.
Yeah, they make you invest into it to a certain degree. It's, I think, an accountability thing at that point.
So let me ask you this. So we get all these meters. How hard is it to swap them out?
5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
5 minutes. You don't change anything. They're the same size as the old ones. They go right where the old ones were. 5 minutes.
Okay.
If everything goes well, there's
Nothing ever goes wrong.
you always got to have a hour-long conversation. It's good.
But ours went bad 2 months ago, and Eric came in and it was probably about 10 minutes.
So, and that's
in out.
another thing about the
And that
old.
was-
So
Ours, the reason we did it is there was a huge jump in water usage, and we tested all the toilets, did all the dyes, did everything to see if there was a leak. There wasn't. So that means that meter, and it was one of the oldest ones in town, was sticking. And so the other part of that argument is, yeah, we estimate, but also I don't know, in that month, I actually had like a double or triple water bill. Did I actually triple my water bill, or did that thing
Malfunction somehow, yeah.
Yeah, so I could be overpaying at
So we
that
have-
point for what I actually used.
we have two types of old meters in town. We had the old ones, and we call them the new ones, but they're old too. The old ones, when they get old, they really just start going away. And you
Have you
can't.
already been billed for your new meter?
The thing about those is they have an actual
$53.
number reader.
At the store or at your house?
Those are just not around anymore. And,
That was at the store.
if we have a customer that has those older meters and something goes on with it, we have to change it out with an old meter to get it to where we can work. Because those manual readers that are on the super old ones, they just work, they're junk,
I guess that's
So-
almost your incentive. You either pay $350 now or $70 now or $350 later when yours really stops working.
It might be worth running some numbers on if we were in totality, all of them, to make it.
Even
we're gonna
across
do
the board.
From here until the end, equitable for everyone or fair. You know, we figure we're gonna need another, what, 200 meters if we go with those prices.
It'd be another 100,000, you can just, if you was gonna do the whole town, it'd definitely be another,
But I'm talking about if we get this grant,
oh yeah.
the number of meters that we would have to purchase
Yeah.
to finish off the town.
Oh.
I mean, we could run numbers with what a meter costs, what we're getting in grant money, match money, and figure out what a meter would be in totality to finish out the town, instead of just the number of meters we're getting with grant money.
So you just amortize it over the total amount so that everybody has like,
Mhm.
your share actually covers what's already maybe going now and what will be done in the future.
In the future.
So it's level.
Yes.
And then any new
Cost.
connections just pay outright.
Yeah.
Full retail.
It actually makes, I think that would probably be the easiest way without really actually looking at,
And then whatever it is, I'd like to be able to set up like a payment plan for it to some extent, like you can do it in 3 payments, whatever the 70 is or whatever. Some people are gonna be like, I'm just gonna pay it up front, and others will be like over time.
Pay it when I'm dead.
I have a dumb question for you. There, everything most stuff usually has a particular like failure mode. It fails in one way or another usually. So when these water meters, these old ones start failing or go bad, it sounds like they read high rather than low. So they don't read low, they read high when
you're actually giving water to the customers.
so they would
It
read
depends
low.
on one of the 2 models.
Okay.
Like I had the oldest one, so that one read
That
high.
one went,
Weird.
those
But
ones
most
go
of them
the
the other
opposite
way.
way because
That's what I
it's
was
not actually the meter that starts going wonky. It's the number thing on the outside that for some reason, like something breaks on the inside and it constantly is just,
I thought I had a lake.
and those are the ones that we're just throwing another one in because we just don't have those readers anymore. That manual,
Do they look like the thing on your power box?
And yes, Northwest did an update of all of theirs so that they could do radio reads and then, do you remember the whole album sent out in the mail?
I'll be honest, this should have happened
so they could shut you.
15 years ago. Maybe even every 15 years, this should happen. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's not a bad idea. Every 15 years, just change them out. Because in 15 years, the technology is that they have new meters now that are no moving parts, no nothing. They're extremely accurate. I mean, and you can't control them radioactive, but the cost is like $1,000,
So who's installing the water meters on the new homes? Are you doing that?
Plumbers.
Right. So if you want to compare a plumber's minimum rate, if you have 2 of you there, one.
I have 3 of them. If we get 3 crates of meters, I have 3. We'll be plumbers until they're in.
Right, but I'm just saying from a look at this from like a sales standpoint, it's like right now the town is offering a one-time, like we'll replace your meter. Your meter has exceeded its useful limit. It's no longer, it's expired. How you almost need to create a sense of urgency with the individual to get them to go with this. So it's like your meter's expired might be one item, and then just to say that we're going to install it for free, or you can pay us 3 hours at plumber's rate to put a new one in as a minimum charge. I mean, I'm hypothetically talking. I do that for drywall patches. If somebody wants me to go to their place and do a patch, I typically charge. Depends on the individual, to be quite honest, but I typically, I shouldn't have said that, but whatever. I'm just trying to cover pain in the butt clients, if you will, or people who want to make the job a little bit more difficult.
Well, that's just normal.
Right. I'm sure you're going to get complaints no matter what. It's like,
That's
wait,
normal.
you're charging us how much for these? It's like,
Honestly,
He's used to it.
if there's going to be an issue with it, I guess that's where I'm going with this. It's, we can generate some money off of it by creating, I guess, a sense of that it's, is there any way you could research what the old meters, if they've, like, they're done, you have to replace them, it's mandatory. Can we?
It says 25-year mark in the grant, or like
yeah,
John's grant.
the meter lives is 5 years, 6 years, you know. I don't know what they are on those old ones, but
That's right. I'm just trying to think ahead if we have to explain, like, always, you know, I don't send out a bill until I can explain every ounce of it, so, it's just being accountable.
Just so, another question for you. The meters that have already been replaced with new meters, how were those paid for? Did the recipients actually pay for those meters? Did they pay full price for it?
yeah, that's what's going on right now.
So if we do that amortize over like the whole town, what's already been done, what this grant will cover, and what still will have to be done in the future, you'd have to, if everybody's on an even playing field, would you have to go back and you know?
I don't know, the biggest portion is new construction of the new meters that are out. So, and you guys had just discussed that new construction would,
Just pay full
Well,
price.
yeah, I get that
Yeah.
makes sense to me.
Yeah.
All new construction, I get that.
Right.
I'm talking
And I guess I
like-
looked at mine as, okay, so my best guess is what it was in had to have been at least 30 years ago at our business. If you take it over 30 years, you're looking at a couple cents a day for a piece of equipment that I'd just rather have it accurate, not have to worry about it. Because at the end of the day, when there is a break from the curb stop somewhere between that building, I want to know sooner rather than later, because that is going to cause less damage if I know right away.
Do you have records, like, do you have accurate records in the system saying like, this person is not new construction and they had to replace theirs at this amount of money, so that, you know, maybe we could, little old lady, you know, on the corner can't really afford that much money, but I don't know, just to try and make it even for, new construction is one thing, but.
Yeah, it's hugely, you can see how it's set up right now. There's no real right answer.
But you can trace the houses that you have replaced.
Probably. I'm guessing so, yeah.
Well, there's only going to be 25% about
I would have to,
It's like 200, right?
well,
200.
less. Because of new construction.
Well,
Of that
there's
200,
gotta be records of who's wrong.
Yeah.
so we're not having this discussion to Eric's son, or whoever's the guy running the public works department in the future. Yeah, it's just a capital improvement, for water meters.
I honestly, it's in the town's best interest to own those meters. I'm just being honest with you right now.
I think we're all in agreement with that.
Yeah.
It's just how we,
Yeah.
how we
people pay for it.
how do we sell it to the town?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If they're paying for it.
Well,
If,
so
well,
that's what I'm saying.
you know, that's the thing.
That's exactly what I'm
you're gonna,
saying.
some people are gonna be upset unless you can show, you know, here's why you're, you know, unless you can lay it out all out for them. I would think. Or maybe not, depending,
You know,
on the price.
But theoretically, we
I
have
would
time
question.
to get numbers put in place and figure it out. If we even get it, we don't have to get the grant, so,
Okay.
I mean, I'm on the same page.
I don't think you'd get too much kickback. It's $300 is what a plumber would charge to come in. It's $100 an hour or whatever their minimum rate is. You might have to ask a plumbing company that, but I think that's pretty accurate. So,
And you will supersede that in one big break.
so
And you will pay for that in your water bill. You see what I'm saying? If it breaks from the curb to you will pay more in water loss on your first bill than you would for that meter, even at full price. But if you distribute that over, and I really think that we'll find another grant to start hammering out the rest of them.
So would we send out like some sort of informational document that suggests that you go with the town's plan and here's why? Or do you just do it on a case by case basis? I don't know that you want
So,
to, maybe you could sell it to.
my thoughts, true feelings on this, the town should own the water meters. I don't, the charging for them is,
Right, but we can't just change the code quicker than we can do this. But I understand, like, that makes sense. It'd be easier to budget everything. Right?
I think I understand what you're saying, like, so we would take the matching grant out of the water, and we will put something on whatever ones, we wouldn't, if I understand. We could put like a little sticker that says, property of the town of Ennis,
I mean,
and then not charge the property owner.
I'm curious how you can even enforce
You
anything.
can't do that because
I'm
it's
curious,
not-
I have this question.
I don't know if we could.
How do you even enforce anything if you don't own it?
I mean, true. But that's
That's
like,
what
that's a
surprised
different-
me.
like your life, right?
point at this.
That's
Another.
how I feel. Okay.
There are several things,
And-
honestly, in our water system that we do different than every other town.
Yeah.
We do change between owners and renters, which I don't know how many hours a month you have to deal with that, and it's not a lot of fun. I can't imagine that Bozeman actually changes every time a renter the bill and who it goes to. I'm pretty sure it stays in the property owner's name.
Absolutely.
So if you really want to get into our quirky water code, there are several things that you could revamp. As that being one of them is you don't change. The owner, the bill goes to the owner. And if they're renting it, they can figure out
That's
how.
included
Oh, I
in
could
the
add
code.
on.
From the
If you
renter.
really want to dig
And
into
yes,
this,
they
we
kind
can,
of, most
do
places
this.
they own. The
The-
system owns all the way to the meter, including the meter.
Yeah, I would just, I don't own that meter.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does Great West, own, like the electrical meter, the electric meters? Who owns
They
those?
own them.
They own them.
That's why when they upgraded them, it was just built into your increase.
Right, but that's not the way it is right now. That's the,
Yeah,
that's the issue, and I think
it makes all of this hard. And I would strongly urge you guys to seriously sit down and take a look at that. That's my suggestion.
I mean, the cows are out of the crowd. We can't close the gate down. I mean,
It's still one of the
Right.
top unaddressed items. I mean, we need to address it in the preliminary engineering report. So we can not apply for the grant and they will be $353 a piece. This is the best way to reduce the cost to the users if the code remains the same.
you know, and I hadn't even.
And we can
thought about that,
average
like,
over what we've
that's true.
purchased. There's ways to
That's
do it,
actually
but
so true. Like,
But we can't change
Even if we got the
legislation.
grant and the meters sat here and we just replaced them as meters went bad, that would still get us farther ahead. So yeah, I mean, applying for the grant's a no-brainer in my opinion. We'll figure out the rest.
Yep.
Before we get there.
and then, like, see, we're having this conversation now. Let's look ahead to the next replacement, right? Get something in line to where slowly money gets put in here to where at some point in this future, 10 years down the road, when these meters are obsolete, whatever, you have the money to replace everything in town all at once.
How do you do that? I mean,
But what
With
you're saying
savings
is the
account.
town isn't gonna replace it though, right? So 10 years down the road or whatever, they get obsolete, you're gonna go back to the owner and say, hey, hey, Mr.
Yeah,
Person A, you gotta buy another meter now,
you know, it's, yeah,
you know?
So when.
it's a
when-
hard
At
thing
least that's what I'm
to,
hearing.
it's a hard thing to do, and especially when
Mhm. Yeah,
I don't really feel like that's how it should be.
Right, but with the government,
I mean, I'm just,
having worked for the government,
I get it, they're in a tough
we-
spot.
when something's reached its useful life, it goes, in the Navy, for example, into the ocean. Or at least that's where it went when I was there. So it's like,
Yeah.
hey, that's reached its useful life. Now we're gonna move forward, and you're gonna pay us this much money and we're gonna replace it. I guess I'm still curious if there's if the manufacturer actually has like a spec that says, hey, these should have been, I mean, just going back to our capital improvements that haven't been our plow truck or our road grader, that items that haven't been improved or we haven't had a plan for improving them. So I think we need to be documenting this all the way when these, what the life expectancy is. That's going to be my next question now. How many years till we replace one of these, just until they break? Is that what we do? Or,
That's what has been done, Cory.
yeah,
But right now they're 350, but what are they gonna cost in 10, 15 years
right.
Well,
with inflation?
the ones you're looking at are 350.
Yeah.
But if I'm
They're
gonna pay
obsolete.
for it, then maybe I don't want the $350 one. Can't I get a cheaper one? Can I get a
16
$200?
years, Corey,
You know what I mean?
16 years.
They're like,
Are they warranted for 16 years?
No, that's the life expectancy.
Is there any warranty on them at all when you buy them that says they're gonna run for so long?
No, but I do know Northwest Pipe we had problems with one of them. And they were just like, here's another one. It's never.
You have to send out the old one.
I mean, I'm sure there is a warranty with them. There has to be, you know. I hadn't even thought about it.
Well, maybe we could
Really till
incorporate
today,
something like when we do the water price changes and, like, maybe ask to put another 3% in and 3% of that goes to a separate savings account or something. So, but then again, the town should be
You know,
paying for it. So I don't know. I got nothing.
a PER should be done every 10 years. It's going to be identified constantly in every water report on a rotation. When I was talking to Joel, he said most towns have a consistent, continuous. They don't actually do a 10-year plan, not do anything, and then do like 2 years. They consistently just extend their engineering report. They just do an update on it every 5 years. Like, this is the part that we've accomplished. Now moving on, and it's in this constant rotation of lines that have to be done, hydrants that have to be done, meters that have to be done. It's a system that is used every day without fail. So there will always be wear and tear on it. So it actually should be a constant rotation and evolving piece. So this is still the cheapest, best way to get the update done. This was the first time this grant had come around, so who knows in the next legislative session
I think it'll still be there.
what the next section will bring.
You know, yeah, the money's flying pretty freely right now.
For infrastructure stuff, so kind of strike while the iron's hot.
I wouldn't expect it to last forever, though. I
Right.
definitely wouldn't count on it being there. And just so everybody knows that something went on with this House bill to where we were originally gonna have to go to the county and send this off to the county. They did something else with it to where they took the county out, and when all that happened, this kind of a rushed timeline also. You know, this is something I think about. Yeah. It came out in December, and the deadline for it was 31st.
I mean, I guess it's really no different than any other business. Prices change. It's what it is, so.
But arguably, if we change out 300 meters in the next year, in 16 years, we'll need to change out 300 more. Right?
Probably, yeah.
That's kind of what I was saying. I mean, if we start a little bit away now. At once in 16 years, not 300 of them.
Ginger.
Why,
Yes, you
why
will.
you wait for 16 years out? We don't own the meters.
Yeah.
Property owner.
I still go back to that. I've got a stapler in my office. Patent, it was built in 1937. Stapler's still working. If you told me I had to upgrade my stapler, I'd say no, I love that stapler.
I guess the fact
Well,
that
why do we have to?
the town doesn't own them is what's throwing the wrench in the
Exactly.
whole thing.
Exactly.
Is there any way to change
I don't-
legislation or code?
We've changed all kinds of stuff in the last 2 years. It's very doable. And like I said, we also spend an immense amount of time each month changing addresses back and forth. And then they're like, oh, I forgot to turn that in. Can you backdate it for 3 months?
No.
And there's
Yes.
a lot
Okay.
a
Well,
lot of headache in utility billing.
but if we do
It's-
that, we don't have a budget for the $20,000 for the match, right? I mean, regardless, we don't have the funds sitting there right now, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the map.
I wouldn't be asking if we didn't have.
Unless maybe it's presented as, this is a one-time thing. The town of Ennis is gonna help you,
And
update, replace your meter at this time. But then going,
But only
But
some
forward.
of you are going to.
Once you get them all done, then you declare that the town owns them after that and start putting away monies, maybe.
well,
Change your code.
if we're gonna approach it that way.
if you're gonna change the code, then we set up a fund for the rest of the meter replacements. give it its own line item and I'm gonna set aside some funds to get it started.
And
But we do have these big projects coming up.
and new construction aside, how would you handle the people that have already paid to replace their meter? How would we handle that?
You know, I don't think we could go backwards, Craig. I mean, in my mind, I don't see how we could go backwards.
Right, we're receiving grant funds. They didn't have, this just came to be and everybody's.
Do you recall any interactions that people are like, I'm sorry, what? I have to pay what? Or do they just accept it and move on, or?
No, I mean, we haven't really had
Okay, well, that's.
pushback.
Yeah.
But, again, I
And then there's some of it, we've had instances where, well, I'm locking my gate while I'm gone, and I'm gonna give you the key to my gate so that you can check my meter, which is not appropriate, because then the town is then like, oh, well, somebody broken through my gate, you're the only one that had the key.
None of your
You
life.
you see what
Somebody
that, those
somebody
people
let me
need
call
to
down.
have radio reads. If you want that kind of treatment where, and it says in the code that they must be accessible. And then
Dogs.
there's the dogs, which we
Somebody
all love.
somebody didn't know who Alex was. It happens every time we get new guys out doing meters. Somebody didn't know who he was, following him around, calling the cops. It's every time we do meters. So I mean,
Is he in a company truck?
because you're in their backyard and
There's somebody in your backyard, I would
Yeah.
be suspicious too.
Well, I called
and
Eric
it's
when there was somebody. in
when
my
they're
house.
used to seeing me and Kyle, and this guy's in their backyard.
Sure.
Yeah,
I say, like, who are you too?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's several times where it's like
somebody stopped me.
you have to have the ability to read them, and there are literally physical barriers that.
junkyards. You know, there's one of them. You're gonna climb over junk to get to it.
That's why the electric company went to all the remote reading stuff.
Well, I think we have to approve it, and I'm happy to approve it. We'll figure out the kinks later. Maybe we can change the code in the meantime.
I honestly,
Sure.
that would be my suggestion. I mean, that just, I don't know. It's hard because it's such a cost, you know?
It's like everything around here. Had it been done in increments over 2 decades.
Here's
not
where
that
we're
big
at.
of a deal.
This is exactly, I mean, honestly, a list I have of stuff that needs done in this town, which this would have covered pretty much anything other than a brand new building.
That would have been your office.
All right, so we have a motion. I'll second.
I make a motion to
Approve the grant application for 355 as written.
And I got to tell you, I knew this was coming. I knew it was coming because it's, you know, this whole.
Well, we have to talk about it. 'Cause
No,
it's
I
people's
understand. No,
financial- yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
keep all the taxpayers in mind and citizens.
All right, so we're good with that, and then decide how to, well, first we have to figure out how the grant has to be administered, and then from there,
I will get on the phone
a
tomorrow.
resolution on
And maybe we
how
should
to
look at
administer it.
in the next year, going over that water code and, flux shooting the whole thing in one fell swoop. Round it up and flux shoot it.
Ooh, I like it.
I think
I like it.
Yeah.
Do stuff.
Because
If we're gonna
yeah,
do it, let's
we
not do it
did
piecemeal,
a
let's.
big chunk of the wastewater with all of our pre-treat ordinance that pretty much fixed everything in there, so that long-term planning, we were going to be okay for any DEQ standards that came forth. We kind of had the protection that we needed for the system. So that one person wasn't, or a couple small people weren't basically giving us fines, getting us fines. So the water could definitely use over the top.
And good job on this, finding it and getting this grant put together, by the way.
Thank
And
you.
standing up there and taking arrows.
No, no, I totally expected this, John. I expected it in a good way. You got to understand this. I expected this conversation to happen. But I think it's a good thing to like really look at and address. I really do.
Yeah, it needs to be. So I didn't, it's just me, I didn't realize that the town didn't own the water meters.
I didn't either.
I didn't know that
I
was
figured-
my property.
The town charges me X amount of dollars for water and sewer. I figured
We're
the
gonna call it.
town owned the meter.
Yeah.
They were-
We have a motion to say.
Okay, we'll figure out the details. Eric will get us details.
Yeah, I'll get on the phone tomorrow and
Yep.
get a clarification on that. I mean, it's kind of hard to get a clarification on something that is not okay.
Okay. Good job, everybody. Good input.
Yeah, I always just assumed the town owned those water meters.
The first time I just assumed they're a small town.
Yeah, and if you have new construction and you gotta pay so much to get it all set up, but the town owns it.
And then the town then has the authority to say, like, this is the type of meter we're using. And if
Yeah.
you're not, it's gonna be installed. And because you're setting, the town's setting the rates, right?
Right,
Yeah.
And it's collecting the money. So,
right. And who's shutting it off? It's my meter. I don't care if I'm not paying my bill. You're not touching my meter. Turn it off. I mean,
well,
yeah.
even, why not spend this amount of money to get this meter? Maybe
Yeah.
there's a cheaper one on eBay.
Yeah, I found one on Amazon that does the same thing for half the price.
And if I'm just gonna put this one in there.
Just tell me the address.
206.
Remember when I called you? Somebody just in a certain alley and but it was my
Everything up
That's
Oh,
what
the
it was.
broken, yeah.
Oh, sure. They're Yeah.